Got the whole world in your hands. Hello, I'm Bharat from Palmistry Unplugged, and today we're going to talk about the thumb. In case you don't know what those are, that's these little things at the end of the hand. And the thumb is as you know, is very important. Without it, we wouldn't be able to do most of our actions. And they say this is what separates us from animals and our abilities to have dexterity and do manipulations. So the thumb is very, very important, of course, like everything else in the hand, but the thumb is important. Now, the thumb, there are different variations of the thumb that we will get into. First of all, the thumb can be long, it can be short, and also the thumb can be set high or the thumb can be set low. So like my hand here, I have a thumb that's set high. See, it's coming out from here. And actually, some people can have a thumb coming out from there that's called a low set thumb. And people with low set thumbs, which are not so common, but people with low set thumbs are usually pretty generous. They're usually heartful, giving, loving. It's always the case. People with more high set thumbs are less giving and less generous. They can be more stiff, and depending on, of course, other factors in the hand. But the high set thumb is more normal. So that's the thing. But a person with a low set thumb, you always know you're dealing with a generous person. So that brings us this. There is an angle between the Jupiter finger and the Sun finger, and the Jupiter finger and the thumb. That angle also is showing how much a person gives. So that if that's like a very natural, very wide angle, let's say 140, 50 degrees, this person is also going to be very giving because they're also able to grab a lot. And because they can grab a lot, they can give a lot. Whereas a person who's more stiff, they can't grab as much and therefore they don't give as much. So you're also looking at that angle between the Jupiter and the thumb. Now, generally, longer thumbs are showing a person who has more capability. And if you look at people who are running the show, who are organizers and bosses and stuff like that, or take charge, they're usually people with longer thumbs. And if you remember, we said the normal length of the thumb is when it gets to the middle of the Jupiter first phalange. That would be normal ambition. And if the thumb is longer than that, this showing a person has a lot of ambition. And depending how long it is and other factors in the hand, how ruthless they will get to fulfill their ambitions. Whereas a person who has a shorter thumb that's below the middle point there, these people have less ambition. And at some point, they just don't care, you know. And I would say this is 100% true. You have the long thumb and the short thumb. This is going to be very true. Now the unit of the thumb. This is also three sections like this. The 1, 2, 3. You have the Venus, which is your life driving force. You have the first phalange, which is logic, and you have the second phalange, which is willpower. So that's the three sections of the thumb. And in a way, you can see it as your I am consciousness. This is your life driving force, your logic, your mind, how you can think things through, how you can have ideas, and lastly, what is your ability and your perseverance ability, your willpower to carry out your ideas with the energy that you have. So it's really your I am consciousness. Now, the thumb can also have a different shape. It can be a little bit wasted here on the logic area. It could be a little bit narrow. Some people have it very wasted. Or the thumb can be like straight, like a barrel. It can be straight. And the straight situation is much better than the wasted situation. Because when energy comes through the thumb, when it's straight, it doesn't meet any resistance. But when it's wasted, there is resistance. So it takes more effort to do things. And people with straight thumbs, they require less effort to get the same thing done, as depending on, as opposed to a person who has a wasted thumb. And also with the wasted thumb, it leads to another situation. Because that energy comes down there, it has to slow down. So there's a very strong possibility of, especially when the person is stressed, that the energy builds up, builds up, builds up. The person feels like they're getting stressed out more and more and more and more. And if they don't do something about it, there is a release, an emotional release, and it's usually anger. And I would say 90% of the time, this is true. People say, yes, this is true. So what I tell people, what I advise people in this regard is timeouts. Like almost like immediately, you feel yourself getting stressed, take a timeout. Oh yeah, I can work it out, work a half hour more on my project and I'll finish. No, go for the walk on the beach or wherever you are, or go for the walk in the park and finish it, and come back relaxed. Let the energy flow again. Let the energy flow again. So this is the situation with people with a wasted thumb and the people with the straight thumb. So a straight, long thumb is the optimal thumb. I guess as everything, you don't want to be too long, but long is good. And they say people with the shorter thumb are more closer to the heart. So they're more feeling people, and they're more in the inner world. They might be writers, or they might be psychologists, or something like this. They're all dealing with the inner stuff, with something more close to the heart. Whereas a person with the longer thumb is more external, more doing physical things, manifesting in the physical world. Okay, so there's one last thing that we will talk about before I sign off, and that is the bending back of the thumb. Now, the bending back of the thumb is one of the most important things that I look at when I'm making my examination to give people's readings, and how their thumb bends backwards, whether there's resistance to it, whether it's stiff or whether it's very flexible with no resistance, is very, very important. And this will tells me more about the person than anything else I'm doing in the hand, I have to admit. Okay, so if you have a thumb, first of all, you have to remember that this is your I am consciousness. So how a person is allowing me to move their thumb is how the person is with existence. It shows their relationship with existence. And this doesn't lie, because it's coming from the subconscious. So the person, actually you have to do it before the person knows what you're doing. Because once they know why you're bending the thumb backwards, they modify it. They can do something. But before then, you get a really good idea about it. So if the thumb bends back and it's flexible, these people have a yes for life. They're basically not fighting with life. They can see other people's points of view. Which actually works really well in relationship. It's not, they can go, I know I'm right, honey, but I accept the way you want it to be. So they can see other people's point of view, and this comes very, very handy. And they have this ability to surrender. Now, but very rarely, I'll flex somebody's thumb and it's completely no resistance, very flexible, no resistance. And this is very rare. This is somebody who's very spiritually advanced. There's no ego fighting. It's not ego fighting. He's not, or she doesn't have that. And they're very surrendered. They're just like the leaves in the breeze, in the trees. They're just swaying with the wind and what has to happen, which is a very beautiful state, spiritual awareness there. That it's very rare. These people have very little ego, very less work that they have to do in life. So that's very, very good. And then there's all sorts of variations on it. Somebody can be flexible, but there you can feel when you pushing the thumb back, you can feel some resistance. Like, okay, I'm flexible, I'm saying yes to life, but still I have some caution, and I'm going to watch what you're doing. So you're going to see all sorts of variations in that. And it's like I know so much about a person when they do this. Now the other situation is when the thumb is stiff, as mine. I have a very stiff thumb. And these people are fighting with life. They don't want to conform to life. They want life to conform to them. And this is a big problem because life never conforms and never works out the way you want it to be. These people have, first of all, high expectations of people because and what happens almost invariably is that people don't meet their expectations and they feel betrayed. And at some point, what do when they feel betrayed? They close their heart and shut the person out of their heart, out of their minds or life or whatever. And then when they get my age, then you look around and go, where are my friends? So this is very hard in relationship because the person who's fighting with life, not accepting what life is given to them, wants you to conform to the way they want to be. So it's a very difficult relationship. They're not going, yes, honey, I see your point of view. They want you to surrender. So that causes a lot of difficulty when somebody has that stiff thumb. Also, it makes a person stubborn. So that's the first thing. When there's that stiffness of the thumb, whether they're fighting with life or not, they're stubborn. They're going to be stubborn and headstrong. There's no question. And also, this is all what I'm saying now is 100%. To do a reading without checking the thumb is almost impossible. So I'm going to sign off now. And we're going to come back and finish off with the thumb, a few other things, and then we'll start on other subject matters. Okay, I'm hoping you're well, and this is Bharat, and if you're interested to have a reading with me, you can go to my website, which is shown here, and or you can download my book. I am also a Vedic astrologer. I'm a tarot card reader. I'm good. So with that, I will leave you. Palmistry Unplugged. This is Bharat, and I say goodbye. Okay. Thank you very much. Got the whole world in your hands.